resulted in the deaths of 2 soldiers serving under NATO's International Security Assistance Force and another coalition soldier. 2 Danish soldiers were also killed and another wounded yesterday when their patrol base came under attack in southern Afghanistan's Helmand province. Taliban insurgents have kidnapped 2 foreign officials of the International Committee of the Red Cross in the Afghanistan province of Wardak. A spokeswoman for the ICRC in Kabul had said 2 staff members had traveled to Wardak, southwest of Kabul yesterday, but still haven't returned.
In the Wardak province, southwestern Afghanistan, in a humanitarian mission. They were supposed to have come back to Kabul last.
In August, the ICRC helped facilitate talks between the Taliban and South Korean officials that led to the release of 19 Korean hostages after more than a month of captivity. Pakistan's President Pervez Musharraf has registered today to run in October's presidential election, but his bid to be re-elected is the subject of an action at the Supreme Court, which has to decide whether or not it is legal. Mushahid Hussain Sayed, General Secretary of the ruling Muslim League Party, told reporters the nomination process had gone very smoothly.
And the best part is that this process is transparent. It's being done in a democratic, constitutional, and legal manner.
Security was tight in Islamabad, with a ring of police monitoring traffic passing through checkpoints and riot police standing by. Police were on guard outside the Supreme Court and on its compounds. Meanwhile, Washihidun Ahmed, a former Supreme Court judge, filed presidential nomination papers with the view to challenging Pervez Musharraf in the upcoming presidential elections just today. A bench of 9 judges is due to deliver a ruling tomorrow that could have far-reaching consequences for Pakistan's transition to greater democracy 8 years after General Musharraf took power in a coup. The U.S. top negotiator for the 6-party talks, Christopher Hill, said his country and North Korea could develop a positive relationship after the 2 had dinner today. Christopher Hill and his counterpart, North Korea's chief negotiator, Kim Ki-hwan, had a bilateral talk during the dinner.
Figure out a way through that. There's no big gap. A whole set of meetings today, a lot of bilateral meetings, followed by a plenary session. We heard reports from all the working groups, and I think tomorrow we'll hope to circulate a joint.
The 6-party talks aimed at ending North Korea's nuclear ambitions that involve the 2 Koreas, China, U.S., Japan, and Russia, will reconvene tomorrow afternoon and is expected to last until Sunday. Mr. Hill was expected to have several bilateral talks with China, North Korea, and South Korea today. Saudi Arabia's foreign minister had said that Iran's standoff with Western powers over its nuclear program is heading toward a confrontation. Saudi Prince Saud al-Faisal met in New York with other Gulf foreign ministers, as well as the chief diplomats of Jordan and Egypt and U.S. Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly. He said Saudi Arabia is very concerned about Iran's nuclear program, which Western powers charge is a cover for building an atomic bomb. Tehran rejects the charge, saying it only seeks to produce energy. Prince Saud said Tehran must prove its program is peaceful. Libya has made it clear it wants U.S. Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice to attend an October meeting it will host on Darfur, but she was non-committal because of a heavy travel schedule. Rice met Libyan Foreign Minister Abdurrahman Shalkam on the sidelines of the annual UN General Assembly session yesterday amid a sea change in U.S. relations with the North African nation that was once considered a pariah. U.S.-Libyan ties have warmed since Libya gave up weapons of mass destruction in 2003 but have been held back by the absence of final settlements resolving the 1986 bombing of a German disco and the 1988 bombing of Pan Am Flight 103 over Lockerbie, Scotland. And finally, delegates of 16 of the top polluting nations have gathered in the U.S. for a meeting which has been called a show of leadership on climate change by U.S. President George Bush. The meeting will also be attended by representatives of the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, as well as the European Union. However, critics feel that the meeting is designed to simply show that Bush is working on environmental issues when he is actually not.
Demonstrators were on hand outside the State Department on opening day of the U.S.-sponsored meeting on climate change that includes the major emitting countries. U.S. Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice.
Let us approach climate change not simply as a looming future threat, but as a present opportunity to work together, a chance to design a better and more sustainable approach to fuel human development, a chance to lift millions of people out of poverty and into the promise of the global economy, and a chance to protect and preserve our natural world.
Skeptics of the U.S. conference have expressed concern the climate meeting might be an attempt to circumvent the UN process. Rice said the United States supports the goals of a UN summit on climate earlier this week. Deborah Luderbeck, Reuters.
And with that, we come to the end of this news bulletin. Stay tuned for the late night movie coming up next. Good night.